Right, good morning everyone. Had a marvellous day yesterday. Today it's rather a bit sad because it's over. It was worth looking forward to, and that was the Cactus Mart at Havering, which is situated, for those that don't know, in northeast London. Once again, needless to say, the wallet came away somewhat lighter than when it went, but it was a very, very good event. It's nice because you catch up with people you know from the past and have a chin wag. You have a little snack to eat there, and you never know what's going to turn up. Well, one of the nurseries, obviously I'm not going to mention any names, they're all good as far as I'm concerned, they're good. I picked up some plants which I'll give a quick show through. I've got to repot some of them, but they're not too bad at all, they're quite nice. Anyway, we've got a box with a few plants here. These are opuntias, well, what I call opuntias. They go under other names as well. But first one we've got is, I think it's quite nice. It looks a slow grower. I've left the labels in because I relabel, and where necessary I don't change the names, but it's a way of remembering the plant when you first got it. So next year I can look at the YouTube and think, oh yeah, that's put on an extra growth, or that's dead. You just don't know. And it also got the name there, so if the label gets lost, I've got a record of it, so it could be replaced. It's Opuntia McGuiney. Nice plant. Remember, with opuntias they do have glochids, so advisable. And what I use to repot, I'm in the potting shed, but it's a greenhouse, so I've had to redo it. I use those, a pair of long nosed pliers, care of British Telecom, when I used to work for them many moons ago. And it's ideal, as you can see. I'm hoping it's showing okay because it's quite bright in here and the screen isn't very good. You just dig down and you can pick up the plants gently using those, or if you want, you can pick the pot up if they're sort of close together. Just a little tip. Anyhow, from the same seller, who I'm very grateful to, it looks very much like Opuntia aciculata, the one with needle-like spines, but it's Pyracantha, Opuntia pyracantha. Beautiful plant. Looks a bit vicious. They need a bigger pot as well. It's always advisable when you buy plants, don't just plonk them straight into the collection. Have a good look, see that they're okay, check for any pests that may be on them. You don't know. At a big do like that, it's possible that they can float from one group of plants to another, but fortunately this was okay. If you find mealy bugs or anything like that, I would suggest using methylated spirits. Just dab it on with a tiny paintbrush. Anyway, let's pick the Pyracantha. I'm going to relabel them, not rename them. Excuse the prices being on them. It's a hobby, and I tend to spend money on various things within the hobby, so some of them are a bit dear. Well worth it. Here we have Tephra cactus. Well, Tephra cactus is a subgroup of opuntias. Geometricus longispinus. Now this one has got spines. Other ones which I don't think I've got, but there is a one going back with it which is virtually spineless. Once again a slow grower. So there's Tetracactus geometricans longispina. I'm hoping these are showing up okay, because as I said before, I have difficulty seeing the screen. It's quite bright, you know, there's no sunshine. Now at the back, a plant which a few years ago was thought of as an extreme rarity. There we are there. Now in the past I thought, well, I'm not going to bother with one of these, but it turned up yesterday. Several of them turned. I think it had several. It's Brighamia insignis. It's the plant originally found on a hillside or a cliff in Hawaii. The moth which fertilizes them so they can set seed no longer exists, I've been told, and also told that the botanist from Kew Gardens used to hang down over the cliff to actually fertilise these plants. Well, I'm glad to say that if you look on YouTube for other examples of Brighamia, there's a nursery in Holland where there's thousands of them. And I think there's a group that promotes these as well. So here we have an example of a rare plant which is still rare in habitat, but in the cultivation is quite common. When seeing these, you know, it makes you think. And now cultivation, I know they were joking with me at the do yesterday, saying, oh, it'll get white spider, which it probably will. They do have a tendency to get white spider, and it was also advised that I spray it, backed up by the comments of other people on YouTube, that a daily spray using water, rainwater, is an advantage. And some of them make out it's quite an easy plant to grow. I would probably doubt that, but this one will probably find its way up into the bathroom. Yeah, I do have a bathroom and it gets used. But a windowsill there which that will stand on, and it receives broken light through the window. I understand these don't like too much light, but anyhow, we'll let you know further how I actually get on with that. Now in front of it we have another caudiciform. There's the name, quite an interesting one, which is, I've got the name, Cyclotheropo parviflora. I don't know it. Oh, there's the name there. This one also appears with its mate on eBay, because I was looking the name up. You know, now, or rather in the old days, you used to get to the books and look up stuff, but now it's so much easier. You put it on Google or eBay and they come up and tell you all about it. So there's the name. Bamba, Kenya is where this one come from. It's got 7 to 8 centimetres caudiciform. So I don't know what the plant does. It's obviously a caudiciform. Don't look at the price. I'd intended to have a good day yesterday, and which I did. So that's one we'll add to the collection. Looking quite firm. and it's got a bit of growth to the top. That plant also appeared on eBay, so it's obviously getting about. Now, also from the same seller, we've got two more over here. We've got a plant here which is quite nice. There's the name, Pentopentia natalensis, or natalensis, which tells me it's native of Natal. Once again, a caudiciform. There's that lovely caudiciform there. These have all been top dressed, which I tend not to do, but I'll probably chance these in their own pots, although the Opuntias I will put into a bigger pot. Now, next to that, we've got this one here, which I'm hoping shows up okay. As I said, I had a job to actually see the stuff. I don't know whether my screen's getting a bit dodgy. I don't know, it probably is. And the name, and this one also appeared, is available. It seems to be available on YouTube, not YouTube, eBay. There's the name there, Firma. Now, I looked this up, and it's clearer on there. Fermina colorata sterculiaceae. It looks like it says Saraburi province. Can't really see the full name of that. Anyhow, I did look these up, and that is known as Stercolia or Sterculia colorata, and it's a native of India. It's called the bonfire tree on account of the flowers being reddish. Not much more to say about that, I just don't know. So we're learning the whole time of these new plants. Just water with care and look after them, they should be okay. Now, there's a few more at the bottom. We got the beaver tails. Now, I was pleased to get that because my last Bacillus was a seedling. Well, this one is obviously from rooted pads. Opuntia bacillus. The Americans call it the beaver tail. Once again, don't be put off. Don't think that it's a nice furry thing that you can pop in your hands and stroke, because you can't. You'll get glotchids in yourself. I remember years ago, and I've told this story numerous times, when I was in my younger days, quite a bit younger. Not this particular species, but Rufida or microdaisies, very similar at the time. I showed it to a neighbour, and the pad was curved, and my neighbour said, "Oh, I don't like it being curved. I'll try and straighten it up." So she put it between her hands to press it together to make it flat. Well, of course, you can imagine what happened. I, as a kid, could only do one thing but laugh, and that didn't go down too well. She was covered in glotchids. I've told this story before. Now, also, we've got a plant here from another seller, Cumulo-Opuntia boliviana, from, as the name would suggest, Bolivia. I understand that some of these plants are quite unusual and not too common. I was pleased to get that as well. That will go into a wider pot, so it gives a chance for when it starts to grow. It's not in growth yet. This looks like last year's growth. It can grow into. We've also got I picked this one up. I thought, oh, I'll have that. I've had it in the past. Euphorbia Susannae. And that's a nice clumping one. So hopefully that'll go into a larger pot, wider, and let it grow out. Euphorbia Susannae. Be careful with the watering. It can be a bit dodgy, but with care it should do fine. And if you look right in the centre, it looks like there's remnants of flower buds or bracts, because it's a euphorbia. Not known for their beautiful flowers, although some species in that family are, but the ones we grow tend to be anything but interesting nevertheless. Now here I was surprised to find these. We have Pachypodium brevicoli from Madagascar, and there was the seller of these had quite a few. A lot of them were actually showing a flower. This one's got buds on it, as you can see, and when they flower the body tends to divide. But look, it's been grafted. It's been grafted onto the plant that they call the Madagascar palm, name of it which has slipped me. Basically it's a difficult plant like the top. The brevicoli is grafted onto an easy growing Pachypodium Gayeri and Lelia, I think it is. I'm not too sure, I forget. And I've got one upstairs on the bathroom window. But there we are. It's a well taken graft. I know a lot of you don't like grafts, but in some cases it's the only way to grow a plant successfully. And I'm not talking about shows. I know in shows they tend to be marked down if they're grafted. And another thing is I would tend not to try and cover the graft up by planting it lower down in the soil. Just leave the graft and let it do its stuff. It's a slow grower, and yeah, I was amazed to see those, so I had to have one. Anyhow, the last plant was a very spiny Opuntia. In fact, repot this with great care. It's Opuntia invicta, and as you can see it's got quite long spines, and I think they tend to stick on as well, so it's one that wants to be put into a fairly large pot and left to grow and not touch it too much, because it is vicious. Well then, everyone, thanks for watching. Some of you who listen on here may have been to that do yesterday. It's at Havering. It's held by the BCS, British Cactus Society, and the Mesem group, who were also represented by representative there, which was good. It's nice because, as I said before, you can meet people, and it's a good place to have a chinwag. Any information on how to grow plants you can always ask, and it was a blooming good day. Thoroughly enjoyed, and you know, the next one will be in a couple of years' time. I know we have got another Cactus Mart coming up later in the year. If I go to that one, I'll give a mention about it, and perhaps beforehand. Anyhow, while we're in the greenhouse, there's been some changes. I've had to make space. Also sorted out a lot of the connos which have grown to a size where they need to be either broken up. Some were clumps which had actually died, so they've had to go into the compost, thrown away. Here we have the plants which I say you've seen in the past, being ready for put in pots for local boot sales or sales, branch sales. There's a slight change, as I say. And I've got a few more the other side. I'm working on these. I don't know whether to pot them up singly or put them repotted back into trays. Just don't know at this stage. Anyway, the other side, I've been sorting out pots, trying to tidy the garden up, which is a hard job, but it's slowly doing it. And I've been picking up pots. I might add, and I mentioned this as well in the past, all those green ones cost me a couple of quid, I think, or was it a fiver? And it was quite cheap. At a boot sale in Wimbledon, at the Wimbledon dog track, and I'm very pleased to get those. I know they're not square ones. I have got square pots, the old-fashioned BEF, which is still going, still good. Box of various bits and bobs. Well, so I use it, as you can see, as area where I can pot the plants up. Got a few plants there being grown on. Ah, there is a bud on that one. I know Jean mentioned that. She said, "Oh, you've got a bud on one of the bits that dropped off the plant there." Picked that one up on another cactus too a few weeks ago. So it keeps you busy, keeps interests up. Excuse the lamps in the corner. One of my other interests is obviously collecting lamps, and I've had to put these outside because they're photo flash bulbs, and it's likely they could self-ignite and cause a fire. Well, in here there's nothing to burn. Indoors it could burn your house down, so taking advice, they went outside. They were down the other house on a high shelf. Well, that shelf is now utilised, which we might have a look a bit later at, with some of the other plants that have been moved there to make space. It's running out of space, so this is why I'm making a bit of room in here as a place where I can re-pot stuff. Also, while we're here, if we get an emergency power cut or the juice goes off and I desperately need light, one of these dark evenings over winter, I've got a lantern there. It's rechargeable, so it's good. That also came from a boot sale with its transformer. I've got two more of those, and they're being used in each of the greenhouses. So there we are, everyone. Thanks again for watching. Any questions I'll try and answer. I'll probably answer it from me talking, because as you all know, I'm still waiting for a cataract operation, and I feel a bit guilty that I haven't answered some of the things. To be quite honest, I'm having a job to see small print, and contrast between the print and the background is bad. I'm even noticing it now with things on TV. Anyhow, before I go, I will be talking about Chinosol. It is safe. If you use it properly, it's safe. So the next video will probably be on Chinosol. Only as a short one, how to use it and use it as a spray. Now just before we go, coming out of the greenhouse, as you can see, I've been cleaning the garden up a bit. I've got to get the old weed killer out, and the best place to buy weed killer is from the web. You know, you can pick up it much cheaper, and it does work because I've used it in the past. So excuse it, I've moved a lot of plants away, so that's got to be sprayed. But what we come out here to have a little look at, I can see there's three things. There's a Preskia there which is starting to leaf up. Now this doesn't stay out all year, it stays out summertime. In the winter it'll be brought into the big greenhouse. But what we come out here to have a little look at is the tree ferns. And just shows you how fast the new fronds, these are called fronds, they uncurl. I've had to cut all the old ones off because they were dead. And by leaving them slightly longer, it also serves to protect the centre. I'm lucky here because I can grow stuff outside which you might not be able to elsewhere. It just seems to be a sheltered spot. South would be obviously over in that direction which I'm pointing now. I think that's south. No, where's the satellite dish? That faces south, doesn't it? No, it's that way. That faces south. But anyhow, it gets plenty of sunshine. In fact, the greenhouse at the end of the garden, the big greenhouse down there, gets sun when the sun comes out all day long, and the mesems love it. There's the other one. We think they're two different species. I've had these several years, well, quite a few years now, and each year they come up. I take the old leaves off, or the old fronds off as they should be called, and it pushes out new ones, so I'm quite pleased with those. I've got that plant to be potted up, or rather not, I should put that in the garden. Down here we have the cast iron plant, Aspidestra. I'm not going to sing about it like Gracie Fields did. Once again, I'm showing my age. Gracie Fields was a singer many years ago which sung about the biggest aspidestra in the world. Well, there's an aspidestra. I've got it also growing in the front garden. Anyhow, I'm going to shut up because I've probably sent you all to sleep now. And thanks again for watching. And as I say, next offering will probably be on Chinosol, or 8-hydroxyquinoline sulfate, to give it its posh name, I believe. Anyhow, thanks for watching. Any comments, you know what to do. Please subscribe, please leave messages, and thank you again. Thank you.